नमस्कार. अबालवृद्ध वाचक हो, नमस्कार. आज मी तुमच्याबरोबर एका वेगळ्या पुस्तकाबद्दल बोलणार आहे. हे पुस्तक इंग्लिशमध्ये आहे, त्याच्यामुळे इथून पुढे मी इंग्रजीमध्येच बोलणार आहे. So let's start with today's book review. Name of the book is India's Most Fearless Part 1. So this book is written by two people. One is Shiv Aror and Rahul Singh. One is from India Today and another is from Hindustan Times. Both of them are having decades of experience in covering military affairs and had worked as a war reporters from conflicting zones. So let's start with the book review. We all read news of encounters with terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir, Northeast, or in Nakshal area. Reading these news, we appreciate our soldiers, we admire their courage, but we know very little about what must have happened on the ground. This book helps us in understanding the ground reality. Both the authors have successfully conveyed the real experience from the battlefield to us through this book. This book contains 14 stories. Each story is an exhibition of courage, valor, leadership, qualities, and bravery of Indian soldiers and officers. When you will read first two stories, you will get the feeling that you are watching the movie Uri, the surgical strike. Both the stories are directly from horse's mouth, that is, from the officers who had led these operations. However, identity of both these heroes has not been revealed for the security reasons. After terrorist attack on Uri camp, Pakistan was rest assured about India's reaction of usual condemnation. But how Indian leadership proved Pakistan wrong and how, with backing of leadership, Indian special forces had taken the counteraction, the whole account is given in first story. You just can't keep it halfway. You end up in reading full story without a pause. Second story is about surgical strike in Myanmar. Here also how operation was planned and executed. Every details you come to know. In this story, one of the experience is really touching. Our forces spent almost 32 hours without water in a humid and hot climate of Myanmar forest. When you read such events, respect about our soldiers become more high in our minds. Next two stories are of two soldiers who always used to lead from the front. One is Lance like Mohan Nath Goswami. While reading his story, we understand how our special forces work. They are always on their toes. In this story, we come to know about three missions in which Lance Naik Mohan Nath played a vital role as a leader, as a scout, and able to capture one of the terrorists. But in his third mission, while protecting his buddy and other two Jawans, he knowingly welcomed the death. The most touching part in this story is about his mother who urged government to build a school in his name. At the end of the story, when his wife says that all his nephews want to follow his path, I can't stop myself to salute their spirit. Indian Army will never fall short of such brave soldiers till such families exist, exist on Indian soil. The next story is about Havaldar Hangappan Dada. Author has described him in just one sentence. There was nothing he demanded of his team members that he would not do himself. How Hangappan Dada charged the attacking terrorist to save his fellow soldiers is something to read on your own. The whole narration mesmerized the reader. This story also tells us modus operandi of terrorist groups and how Indian Army is vigilant 24 by 7 on border in unfriendly climatic conditions to stop this infiltration. Also, Indian Army has to follow a protocol before killing any terrorist to check if he is really a terrorist or not. So many times soldiers have to reveal their position while following this protocol. These examples show how Indian Army is professional and ethical. Fifth story is about Captain Jaidev Dangi, who was just 25 years old. The story narrates how Captain Jaidev and his team pinned down a Hizbul Mujahideen area commander Adil Mir. The interesting part of the story is how Captain Jaidev kept his injured buddy motivated. In spite of getting injured himself, he says to his buddy that two bullets are not enough to kill a commando. भैया दो गोलियों से इंडियन कमांडो मरता नहीं है. This was the sentence of Jaidev. Sixth story is about Colonel Santosh Mahadik, who led the team from front while hunting group of terrorists and at the end sacrificed his life. The most courageous and important part of the story is about his wife, who also joined the army after his death and now serving Indian Army. It's a very inspiring story. Rather, I will suggest go to the Google, try to find out about Colonel Santosh Mahadik and his wife. I'm sure you will get a very inspirational message. Seventh story is about Major Mukund Varadarajan, who also got killed in one of the hunting operations, but only after making the mission successful. The interesting part of the story is that J- how Varadarajan pinned down a most wanted terrorist by counting the bullets fired by him. So, in a nutshell, what Varadarajan did, that he saw that the terrorist was in trap, and then terrorist was also firing towards these people. So Varadarajan started counting the bullets which are getting fired by terrorists, and accordingly he made a judgment that when the terrorist was out of bullets. That was so ingenious. Now let's move to the remaining stories. So far the stories which we had seen are from army. The eighth story is about a young Lieutenant Commander Nitin Yadav from Navy, who had saved his crew members with his experience and maturity. It is quite easy to fight the enemy because you know who he is and you have equipments to fight with him. But what if your equipment start malfunctioning? What if vehicles carrying you start behaving erratically or goes out of control? The same thing happened with Lieutenant Commander Nitin and his crew members. They were on recce mission in I-138 plane. But while in air, all the generators providing power to the plane failed. In that situation, what challenges were faced by Nitin and his team? How they overcome those challenges? As a senior officer of a plane, how Nitin took quick decisions and brought his crew safely to the ground. It's really an experience to read the story. Title of the story itself tells a lot. The next story is about Captain Varun Singh from Marcos. The story is all about how he fought with terrorists in Kashmir and killed them. In a process, he himself got severely injured as if he had seen the death. Now you must be wondering what Marcos was doing in Kashmir, because as we are aware that Marcos is mainly belong to the Navy SEAL. That's why you should read this story. What is more interesting is a letter from doctor to Captain Varun, who treated him when he was on the life and death border. This doctor wrote this letter after 16 years from the incidents. It is also interesting to know what Varun did after his recovery. The next story is from our soldiers, not only good in fighting but also good in rescuing people who are in trouble. This story is about INS Sumitra and her commander Milind Mokashi, who were instrumental in rescuing not only Indians but citizens of 26 other nationals as well in the mid of Saudi-Yemen war in year 2015. It was challenging to convert battleship into a rescue ship, but Commander Mokashi and his crew overcame these challenges successfully and evacuated almost 1,621 people, including 600 people from 26 foreign countries. It is interesting to read how Commander Milind Mokashi prepared himself and his team to handle this complete operation and how he got awarded for this work. The next comes squadron leader Rijul Sharma, who was flying MiG-29 and as a part of regular exercise checking its limits. He was flying at a supersonic speed and the accident happened. What was that accident? What was the effect of that accident on Rijul? When he met with the accident and realized that it may not be safe to land, so he was having the choice to evacuate the aircraft and eject out. What decision he took? Why he was awarded with Vayu Sena medal? Did he continue his MiG-29 flights after this accident? You will get all the answers when you read this story. Both the stories of Nitin Yadav and Rijul shows us how Indian soldiers are ready to deal with any situation, be it war time or any other time. They are always on their toes. This is because of rigorous training what they get. It shows the quality of the training provided to our officers and soldiers in all three wings of our armed forces. Now we are moving to the next story. Just imagine what if you are flying in a helicopter at the height of 6,500 feet and all of a sudden helicopter engines stop working and you have only 9 seconds to take a decision in terms of finding a most secure place for crash landing or to switch on the bypass valve which can restore fuel supply to rotors. Now, supplying the fuel to the rotors or bypassing the valve, this operation takes almost 30 seconds. What if there are VIPs traveling your helicopter and you are responsible for their and your crew members' life? In such situation, taking decision with calm and cool mind is really difficult. Only a trained, experienced, and mature pilot can do it. This is what is the story of squadron leader Vikas Puri. You can experience the thrill and horror of helicopter coming down with the speed of 12 meters per second while reading the story. You also can experience sense of relieving when squadron leader Puri was able to recover the copter while they were just 600 feet above ground and were able to avoid the crash landing just by 20 seconds. You also read you also can read about squadron leader Vikram Puri's failure in his NDA days and how with the help of his instructor and his father's confidence he was able to overcome the failure and able to achieve his objective of becoming a pilot. I will rather say every young person should read this story. Failure is temporary. What is important is your willingness and hard work by which you can overcome it. The last story is about Wing Commander Gaurav Bikram Singh Chauhan. He and his co-pilot, squadron leader Tamta, were participating for the upcoming show Iron Fist. Their role in this show was to exhibit how IAF is capable of precise bombing. When both of them were airborne, Gaurav did necessary calculations and quickly programmed parameters for the bombing run. After following all procedure, pilot Tamta pressed the trigger to release the bomb. But then something unexpected happened. To understand what exactly happened on that night and how both the pilots saved themselves, you must read this story. What is most important and touching part of the story is Gaurav's wife was 6 months pregnant at the time of accident, and when she received the message on her mobile, ejected, "I'm okay." What would have been her situation? One can only imagine. Also, her advice to families of pilot is something one should read. Although the book ends here, I will insist the readers not to skip acknowledgement. After reading this, you will salute not only the heroes of this book, but both the authors as well. So that is where the review of this book ends. However, very soon I will be coming to you with the second part of this book, where we will come to know about more heroes from our armed forces who had shown the courage and valor, okay, in the field. Thanks a lot.